Marvel's better. DC is better. Well, we have Iron Man. Well, we have Batman. Well, we have a successful, thriving, interconnected universe that spanned over 25 movies and have all grossed an average of $1 billion each. Well, we've got Ben Affleck. Had. Well, we've got Henry Cavill. Had Henry Cavill. Yeah. Well, we've got Brie Larson. Yeah, everyone hates her though. Well, at least her movie didn't suck like Wonder Woman 84. What are you gonna do now? Martin Scorsese ain't talking shit about DC. For Darkseid. Marvel and DC, they get compared a lot. They both try to get into the cinematic universe game. One seems to be thriving, the other one seems to be struggling a bit, but today we're asking the all-important billion-dollar question, is it fair to compare the two? My name is Tom, and this is Tom's Take. No matter whether you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan, we can all be fans of both. I myself, like all comic book movies, I don't care which label you slap on it. But the two have been compared a lot over the last few years, especially with the whole, emergence of the cinematic universe, of course, really made a thing by Marvel. And then DC tried to almost replicate Marvel's success with things like Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League, and we all know how that turned out. Thank you very much for the Snyder Cut, by the way. And whatever your feelings are, whether you love Marvel or you love DC, or if you compare them or if you don't compare them, make sure you jump down in the comment section below and let me know so we can carry on this really interesting discussion. Let's just keep it friendly though, Marvel and DC fans, okay? So is it fair to compare these two titans of comic book movies? There are very legitimate reasons for and against, There are reasons to compare them and reasons not to compare them. But in my personal opinion, I don't think it is fair to compare them, at least not where we are right now. Because right now, unlike before when DC was actively trying to create a interconnected cinematic universe a la what Marvel had been doing, because they looked down the street and saw what Marvel was doing and said, we have superheroes too, we can also do that. And then Batman vs. Superman came out and divided half the audience, and so they decided to go in a different direction. But if you look at what both studios are doing right now, they're both trying to achieve very different things. Marvel's chugging along with their cinematic universe that's really healthy, really thriving, and they're putting out some really great movies, and I love myself some MCU. But then you have DC that are also putting out some really intriguing stuff, and a lot of the stuff that DC is going to have coming, especially in 2022, has me very, very excited. The nerd boner juices are indeed flowing because you have things like The Flash, which I'm very excited for. Every DC character is apparently going to be in that movie. And then you have like Robert Pattinson's The Batman. I'm very excited for that film as well. And so DC are focusing on making very good individual standalone movies that, yes, they acknowledge are part of a larger universe, but they don't focus so much on interconnecting their movies with one another as Marvel has been doing. And Marvel's been doing it to great success, but sometimes it's okay to not have a movie that's, overly interwoven with every other movie and continuity and everything. I mean, look at what, Fox did with X-Men. None of those movies are in any real continuity with each other. They just didn't care. They just wanted to focus on making the best movies they could, whether they were interconnected or in continuity or not. And so the two studios right now especially are just trying to do two very different things. So it's almost like trying to compare what Pixar's doing with what the Fast and the Furious franchise is doing. The question we need to stop asking is, can DC catch up to Marvel? What does DC have to do to get to where Marvel is right now? I think that's the wrong question to be asking, because again, DC is not trying to catch up to Marvel. They're just not trying to get there. They're doing their own thing. And it seems to be working very well for them. Aquaman made $1 billion. The Suicide Squad, while it did flop, a lot of their movies recently have been getting a lot of critical praise. And yes, I know, I hated Wonder Woman 84, but I did love Birds of Prey, by the way. And one of the only good things the current regime of Warner Brothers have done is they seem to have learnt the lesson that every other studio also had to learn, a lot of them harder than others, that if you try and just emulate what Marvel's doing, you're gonna fail at it. Anybody remember Universal's Dark Monster Universe? So no, I really don't think it's fair to compare the two, and I really don't think that it's fair to even say, well, DC needs to do this, this, and this to catch up to Marvel. They don't need to catch up to Marvel. There is nothing to catch up to. DC's not trying to achieve the same thing as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is. Because everybody wants to talk about, the formula. What formula is working right now? Here's the formula. Here's what it comes down to. Make great movies. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't matter which order you put a movie in. It doesn't matter whether you do a team-up movie first or solo movies first. What matters is that you make a great movie. If Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman had come out and been, hugely successful with the audiences, the critics, but, they divided half the audience. And if that didn't happen, if the majority of audiences loved what DC was doing in the early days of the DCEU, then we wouldn't be sitting here having this discussion. And in my opinion, DC have been making some really great movies as of late. And that's all it comes down to. It's not about formula. It's not about, how much humor's in the movie or how dark a movie is. It doesn't matter. Is the movie good? That's all that comes down to. And I know it's fun to ask the question, hey, is Shang-Chi better than the Suicide Squad? Or is the Snyder Cut better than the first Avengers? We can have those fun fan discussions. I'm not trying to, party poop anyone's, fandom, water cooler discussions here. I just find this topic an interesting topic and something that I thought I would put to the fan community. Like, do you guys compare Marvel and DC? Do you think it's fair to compare the two? I personally don't. I personally, again, feel like they're doing two completely separate things at the moment. They're both trying to achieve very different goals, and it would be like comparing Pixar to Fast and Furious. It's completely different. The only similarity between the two is that they're both based on comic book properties. And by the way, DC essentially has more creative freedom at the moment because they've been doing R-rated stuff. They've been doing, just completely separate universe movies like Joker and Robert Pattinson's Batman. And that's not a knock on Marvel. You guys know I love my MCU. And they've been kicking ass lately as well with things like Shang-Chi. Stupid pandemic, Disney Plus day and date streaming service releases aside. But I want to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's fair to compare Marvel and DC, more specifically the MCU and the DCEU, whatever that looks like right now? Make sure you jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notifications bell so you never miss out on my take and you never miss out on giving your take on this channel about all things movies. My name is Tom. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.